I know you've been eagerly awaiting this book review, and I'm sorry it's so late. Today we're going to be talking about Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. If you are unaware, this is the sequel to Lady Midnight, which is the start of the Dark Artifices series. This takes place after City of Heavenly Fire, and to people who are like, I'm just going to read this series without reading anything else by Cassandra Clare. No. Stop. You basically should read everything else before you read the Dark Artifices. I have not read the Bane Chronicles or Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, but trust me, it's on my to-do list. It will happen. But yes, you have to read everything else basically, so. What did I think about this book? Well, friends, it slayed me. It was so phenomenal. I don't know what I was expecting. I always go into Cassandra Clare books thinking like, nah, it won't emotionally wreck me. I'm not that invested in these characters. But that's not true. I was very stressed out this whole book. It was a rough time. Some of the best things that I love about this series, I love Julian Blackthorne. My bae, he's just wonderful. I love him so much. This isn't a spoiler, but I am pretty sure that Julian is demisexual because of this book, so like, God bless. I hope that's canon. I'm pretty sure it's canon. But I love Julian. I love all of the siblings. All the Blackthorns are just adorable and wonderful. I really loved getting to know Kit Herondale in this one. Interesting guy, love him. Also, I think one of my favorite things about this series, even though it's probably not supposed to be like this, I just really love seeing all our old friends come back. All the TMI people. Also, this one is really cool because they do go to London, so we get to see some other people we haven't seen in a while. I liked it more than Lady Midnight because you get to dive deeper into the characters. We set up a lot in Lady Midnight, and so you're kind of left hanging, waiting to see what's gonna happen. And this one also sets up a lot of things we don't get to see resolved, but I feel like we get a lot more answers, and there's a whole lot more character development. I just live for character development, so it was really great to get to explore that and to see more of those characters come to life, because there's a lot of them. Kind of emotional. I didn't actually cry, but I can understand why you would. I don't want to spoil you if you haven't read it. If you're on the edge about reading it, I would say read it because I was blown away and totally unexpected. So good. But I think I gave it 5 stars. It's like my second favorite book of the year, so I loved it. Let's talk about it with spoilers. I hope it doesn't look like I'm naked. I really have a shirt on, but it's just off the shoulders. Lord of Shadows. What a time to be alive! How am I gonna survive until 2019? I don't think I will. I really loved Lord of Shadows, so I listened to it on audio. I don't know if you listened to the audiobook when you read it. It's read by somebody from Buffy, who I don't actually know because I don't watch Buffy, but it was one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. I don't know what it was, but it was so easy to just like relax and listen to it, and I didn't feel like I was getting super lost as I was listening to it. And I don't know, it was just really enjoyable and I would highly recommend. There's literally so much I could talk about, and there's also not that much I really want to talk about because most of it is just like, I love everybody. Also, Livy is dead. Let's start with our parabatai because that is where this whole story revolves. So Emma and Julian, I love them so much. I think they're a great couple and I love them together. But I feel like they make some really bad decisions, and I just like, a lot of the times I just want to like slap some sense into them. This book was no different. Literally, it was such an up and down roller coaster. The irony was very present the whole time because we start out with Emma dating Mark, even though she doesn't like Mark, and she's like, I just want to make sure Julian's safe and happy. Meanwhile, Julian's over here stupid because he's like, my brother and my girl are together. This is awful. I hate them. Mark and Emma break up, but Julian ends up kissing this fairy who Emma thinks is a real fairy girl, and Julian thinks is actually Emma. So that doesn't help the situation. Plus, they don't communicate well at all. They're like, oh, if I just like keep my feelings to myself, we won't hurt the other person. They'll just go on and forget about me. That's not how love works, but eventually they get to the point where they can be honest with each other and they're like, no, I thought you didn't love me anymore. No, I love you. I don't, what, do you not love me anymore? So finally, they like get together and have some fun. And then they're like, well, this isn't gonna work. How are we gonna fix this? Because of the parabatai curse, which is the thing. I don't really believe in it, but whatever, it's fine. The thing that really got me was the scene where Julian is talking to Emma and he's like, so basically we could break the Parabatai bond. That's what the Seelie Queen suggested, let's do it. And I was like, I don't really want that, but okay, fine, let's do it. Because at first you're like, oh, it's just gonna break their bond, it'll be fine. And then Julian drops the bombshell. He's like, yeah, but if we did that, we'd have to break the bonds of literally every Parabatai in the world. So I don't really know, is it worth it? And Emma's like, we can't do that. And he's like, are you sure though? Because I would. Literally at that point, I just like had to put the book down and I was like, this goes against everything. I could never do that. Like, as somebody who personally has Parabatai, I was just like, no, please don't. So eventually they come to this conclusion. Julian talks to Magnus, and Magnus is like, talk to Robert Lightwood, what is his title? Talk to Robert Lightwood, he'll help you, he'll send you into exile, and that will deaden the bond, and you guys will be fine. I don't think that's how that's gonna work, but that's what they decide to do. So they go to Robert Lightwood, and they're like, hey, can you send me into exile? And he's like, why? I love them, but also, it's ridiculous. I'm very curious to see how it all, like, ties together in the end, because I just have no idea how it's gonna happen. Another ship that's really prominent, I think, personally, is, Kit and Ty. Kitty, as they say. This one, it wasn't, like, super prominent in this book. I think they're still, Cassie's still setting it up, but I even saw it in the first one that I was like, this is gonna happen. It's canon. I ship them a lot, Ty and Kit, especially because, I don't know, it's like as the book goes on, you kind of see it a little bit more, but like every time Kit and Ty hang out, Kit's always like, man, Ty, what a guy. He's so great. I love him. He's so pretty. First of all, I really love that Kit's like, you know Ty's autistic, right? And they're like, what the heck is that? First of all, just like shout out to Cassie for putting that rep in there. I'm not sure how accurate it is because I have no experience in that area, but appreciate it all the same. The scene, going off of that, I really love this scene where Ty is like having this panic attack, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. And Kit's like, how can I help you? And Ty's like, just like hold me, that would be great. Like, I just really like that scene, and I feel like, I don't know, we don't get enough scenes of boys like having breakdowns and having to get help from other people, so I really, really appreciated that scene, and it was just very cute, and I very much shipped them together. I really, really loved Kit's development in this book. I feel like his POV added a lot because he's just like, you need a sassy Herondale POV, guys. Like, it's essential to, especially that scene where Bridget is like, yeah, I think Herondales are the ones with like the sexual charisma or something like that, and it was just like really great. But I really like Kit's character. I'm very interested to see where it goes in the future, but I think I loved seeing him change from that kid who's like, I'm gonna run away, I'm gonna steal everything, and Jace being like, no, stop. And then by the end, he's like putting his life on the line for people. Backtrack a little bit to the other Blackthorne. So we also get to see more of Livy, even though she's gone, Drew, and we see a little bit of Tabby in this one. Most of the time, Tabby's just like, Julian, don't go. And Julian's like, sorry, but I gotta go. Drew, I don't know enough about Drew to really care about her at this point, which is kind of interesting because her whole character, she's like, nobody knows about me, I just babysit, I'm just like all alone. And I'm interested to see where her character goes because I feel like Cassie might be like steering her towards like a big destiny at some point. Maybe not in this series, but in the next one. So I'm just like very curious. I love that she's chubby. I love that she, you know, does her own thing. She's just like a cool chick. Livy. So, Livy was the big death at the end. Although I would say that Robert Lightwood is also kind of a big death, but Livy was the one where you were like, what? Basically, when I was at BEA, I interviewed Cassandra Clare, and she was talking to a bunch of people in like a little circle, and I like glanced over, and Michael Bookline is like on the ground, literally, like, just like emotionally wrecked. And Cassie spoiled a big death at the end of Lord of Shadows for him at that point, and luckily I didn't hear about it, but like as I was talking about Lord of Shadows, everybody started talking about how there's this big death at the end. Big death. Somebody you really care about. And I was literally, the last 100 pages, I was so stressed out because I was like, it could be anybody. And so when it was Livy, I don't want to say I was relieved, but also I was relieved because I really thought it was going to be Magnus. So it's fine. I'm over it. Whatever. It was still very sad, and I'm very nervous for Ty as things go forward. It was just so unnecessary, but yes. So speaking of our wonderful loves, Alec and Magnus, the bays, literally anytime they were on the page, I just like had an emotional breakdown. I forgot how much I love them. And it's amazing because I think I've grown to love Alec so much. I remember when I first met him as a character and I was like, no, this is stupid. I hate you. And now, like, I would die for him, honestly. So that's why I was so concerned. I was like, it's gonna be Alec or Magnus. She's gonna do it. I'm gonna break down. It's gonna be bad. Luckily, it wasn't. But Magnus is, like, sick. So he's just, like, MIA, kind of. I don't know. I'm very concerned about him and Tessa. There's something happening with the Warlocks. So I feel like it has to do with the Blight from the NC leaking. But I don't know if that's true. We'll see. So Alec and Magnus now have children, and it's adorable, and I'm not over it. Like, So when they first, like, got to the London Institute and they were, like, hanging out with everybody, I just, like, laid on the floor and had about 5 minutes where I was just, like, emotionally distraught. Like, I just care about them so much. And last night I started looking on the Tumblr tag from Alec, and, like, I was losing it. I don't know what's happening, but I'm reverting back to my TMI days where I just, like, couldn't handle anything. And I'm parallel to that, we also get to see at the beginning of the book, Clary and Jace, they get to come visit the Institute. They go in a ferry, and the weirdest thing, honestly, is Clary. Of course, I freaking can't stand Clary, but Clary's talking to Emma, and she's like, hey, just so you know, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die. That's why I haven't accepted Jace's proposal. So just, like, keep an eye out, you know, I might be dead in a couple of months. I'm not really sure. It's fine. And when I was reading it, I was like, well, Clary's obviously the one who's gonna die. It's gonna be great. I don't care about her. But that didn't happen. So we'll clearly get to see more of them, because you don't just drop a red herring like that and forget about it. I feel like Clary's a resilient girl. I don't think she's gonna die. But, like, clearly anything can happen, as we know. So aside from the TMI characters, because those are the main ones we see, we haven't really seen Simon or Izzy yet, which I'm kind of mad about, so they better show up in the next one. But we did get to see some TID characters that we haven't seen in a while. Bridget came back. We also got to see Jessamine, and I just, even though, like, you hate her during TID, she's, like, great. It's just great to see old characters come back. Also, the scene where Kit is, like, in the library, and he's like, some idiot named Will H. wrote all over these first edition books, and I just wanted to cry because Will. Basically, the whole book, I was just, like, very emotional about everything. Oh, Mark and Kieran and Christina, the freaking fairy love triangle thing. I'm really over the love triangle. I hate how it just, like, it's like all of them want to date each other, but none of them are dating each other. They just, like, keep going back and forth and kissing everybody. It's so hard to tell. Honestly, I, like, hope Mark and Kieran get together because I think they're really cute. But, like, I don't know. I feel like Christina and Diego are going to get together, so I'm hoping that's what happens. But also, like, it's just so much. So confusing. So many love triangles. It's hard to keep track of. Let's talk about the antagonists of the story. The Dearborns. Freaking Zara Dearborn and her band of Trump supporters. Somebody on Tumblr was like, Zara Dearborn is definitely a Trump supporter. And I was like, yeah, like, obviously. Basically, I was just getting so upset during that, like, final council meeting thing in Idris, or Alicante, whatever it is, where they came in with their placards and they were like, down with downworlders, blah, blah, blah. And they were just so mean, and I was so frustrated. Like, I just, like, literally Zara Dearborn is the epitome of everything I hate in a human being. Even though it's, like, obviously we have no fairies, but, like, literally that's everything I hate in a human being is Zara Dearborn. The scene where she goes in on Alec and Magnus, and Alec's like, bitch, no. Get out of my life. I'm awesome. Magnus is great. I love him very much. Go. Like, that scene was really great. But I basically just, like, hate Zara Dearborn. Oh my gosh, I forgot about Diana. There's literally so much going on in this book. I can't even. Zara Dearborn sucks. I hated all of the, like, what is it? The cohort, all that crap. It just, like, brought up feelings of the real world and, like, our president and things. And I was just like, can we not? This is hitting way too close to home. Anyways, backtracking, like I said, Diana. We get new Diana information. We figure out Diana is, or was, transgender, which was really great. And that scene was just so beautifully done. I loved it. I really, really loved it. Especially because Gwyn is so unexpected. He, like, pursues Diana and you're all just like, what? Why? Huh? And like the scene, she tells him, she's like, yeah, so just FYI, I'm transgender. That's why I can't do anything. And he like looks at her for a minute and then he's like, I knew when I first saw you that you were the bravest woman I've ever seen and I love you. And she was like, okay. It was just so cute and unexpected. And he's like, can I hold you? And she's like, yeah, sure if you want. Like, oh, did I say that Julian's demisexual? Let's talk about that, because that is the thing I'm very passionate about. Literally 2 or 3 times in the audiobook, I'm listening to the audiobook, and Julian is basically like, he says that he hasn't really felt attraction. I don't know if that's the exact wordage she used, but he was like, basically, I never really felt attracted to anybody, and I thought I was like weird, and then I met Emma, and I was like, so basically demisexual. And he says this like 2 or 3 times, and it's very explicit, and he never actually says demisexual, but based on like very specific wordings, he is so demisexual. I don't care what you say, he is. Like, he clearly only is attracted to Emma because they've been together forever. Oh my gosh, I also forgot about Ash. Let's talk about him really quick and then I'll cut it off. Ash is this person that Drew meets. She like goes in Diego's duffel bag and she ends up going to this other place. No, Jaime, sorry. She goes into Jaime's duffel bag and she goes to this like other place and we get no explanation from it at all. But she sees this kid and she's like, you look really familiar. Who are you? And he's like, my name is Ash. Who are you? And you're like, who is this guy? So I did some research. I went up on Tumblr because I was like, all right, who the heck is this guy? I was in the Lord of Shadows tag and apparently, according to the fandom, this is Sebastian Morgenstern and the Sealy Queen's son. Basically, everyone's like, Ash is the weapon that Sebastian left behind because he is his son. And that's so much. It's gonna be a wild ride. I can't believe we have to wait until 2019. I knew there was a reason I waited. I literally waited like 2 months, and that's still not enough. Like, I have to wait for 2 years now. How do I go on? I hope that was something entertaining for you, but if you want to fangirl more in the comments, please do so. Thank you guys for watching. I can't believe that all just happened. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.